Hi, I'm Kandy Kitty, and you're watching Orgasm Central TV.
How'd you get started in this industry?
That's long and complicated. I guess there were a number of motivations behind it. I think primary one was to annoy my current my as now ex, which which certainly helped. But I've been a model pretty much all my life before I transitioned, and it just kind of went naturally from there. As soon as I started transitioning, I guess more and more men wanted to see my bosoms, as it were. I'm trying to control my language as we're on YouTube, but they wanted to see me naked as as I continue to transition and my bodily changes and everything. And as a result, that means I had to adapt from being a male model to a female model. And it just kind of went on from there. Then I met one of my photographers who suggested I should do adult work. And for a while I thought about it, and my partner was really starting to annoy me, not making the money that was supposed to be made. So somebody had to make the jump. So I just jumped into adult work, and it went on naturally from there.
So, what do you love most about your work?
Oh my God. I guess it's meeting the new and excited people who are just as much into it as I am. I mean, it's taken a while, getting to know the talent and the ins and outs and the studios involved and everything. But the more I grew, the more I got to know people who are a lot more talented and a lot more established than I am. And how friendly the vast majority of them mean to me. I mean, I've made more friends in this industry than I think I've ever made in a lifetime, and certainly gained more than I lost since I started my transition. So I think it's just basically working largely with people that I like, which is something that you don't really get in a lot of jobs. You go to work and it's the same mundane life, and you're always guaranteed to be with somebody that you hate. But in this job, at least I get to pick and choose who I want to work with, and that is a big bonus for me.
So, and what was your favorite scene to shoot?
Oh my God, that's a lot. There are actually two that spring to mind.
Yeah.
I usually do girl scenes, but the two favorite ones that spring to mind are my first blowjob with Billy Pilgrim, and it was actually my very first boy girl blowjob. I'd never given a man a blowjob before, and he eased me through it, and it was a actually it kind of got me turned on to doing more of that. And more recently, since my move to Chicago, my bondage scene with SBM rope. It was actually my first um, public anal scene. Whereas before that, I was doing a lot of private studio work for private clients and stuff. Since then, I've moved on from that, and SBM rope was a very enjoyable scene. I love being tied down, and he's so professional. Again, that was my first video where I had anal on camera outside of the private scene. So it's nice to actually have that on a more public forum so people could watch that. And SVM Rope was the one who made it the most enjoyable. I actually nearly orgasmed from that encounter, so that was actually probably the most enjoyable scene I've ever done.
Okay. So, what studios are you down to shoot with in the future?
Well, actually, the major one I'm currently talking with now is Tadpole Studio, which I'm very excited about doing several scenes with them. I first met them at Exotica, last year, and of course I've been out of play for at least 6 months because I've had my FFS and I've had my bottom surgery. And what makes it exciting for me is that it's going to be the first studio I work with where I'm actually post-op trans. So it's going to be everything's a learning experience for me now. I'm on the other side of the fence, you know. So Tadpole Studios is the one I'm very more excited about working with that I'm most right now.
All right. So here's one of those long-winded questions. According
Oh,
to
cool.
the 2022 Free Speech Coalition, 46% of adult workers have been restricted on services like PayPal, Venmo, and Cash App. 36% of adult performers have lost at least one bank account. 55% have been denied insurance because of their background, and half have been denied a loan because of sex work. What do you think of those statistics?
Well, to be honest with you, I think it's actually utterly vile. I mean, I'm a survivalist sex worker. I'm largely disabled. This is the one job I can do without without putting myself at any tremendous risk. I mean, there's risk to the industry, obviously, but at least now that I'm more established, I have more control over what I'm doing. And I think that this is just a kind of discrimination that just boggles the mind. These kind of people making these decisions about our bank accounts and about our PayPal are the kind of people that watch our porn in the first place, or if we're escorts, are the kind of people that invite us around to the Trump Tower to give them a massage. The hypocrisy, they're not doing it because because of this moral high ground that they claim to have. They're doing it to please a certain base of customers that actually make the company much more, their banking much more profitable. The far right can, I try to avoid talking politics because my life is very political, but I do feel that a lot of the banking situations are very on the far right end of the scale. So in order to make sure that they get their tax cuts, they have to please the certain moral majority or the moral minority or whatever that guarantees they're going to vote for the people that are going to give them their tax cuts. And as a result, it's not political, it's business. And we're the ones who suffer as a result of it. I would love to see change. It's like the sex trafficking laws. Really, really annoy me. They're trying to prevent sex trafficking, but they're not doing anything to protect the victims of sex trafficking in the first place. So, um, we're basically the underdog. We're basically the example being made so that people can profit from our suffering, from our suffering, from our being downtrodden. We're the easy target because sex is so frowned upon in America.
So, what do you think people can do to help sex workers?
Well, I think that the most important thing is information. You know, I'm a very loud vocalist on sex work rights and sex work safety. I've been an advocate for it for quite some time. I think the problem is information. Making sure that making sure that people are actually aware of the various statistics of how why porn is so successful, who's having access to the porn, and who's not and who's not controlling the people that shouldn't have access to this industry. It's like going to a cinema. The parents have to make the decision whether their kids are going to watch an R-rated, not an R-rated, but an N-17 movie, for example. But if they're not in control, but if they're not watching what the kids are doing, then that's not the porn star's fault. That's not our fault. We just provide the same product as a Deadpool movie. Right? It's just that our work is more explicit. So what can be done? We need to educate the population not only on how sex workers operate, where they come from, and why they operate that they do. But we need to educate the public on how to be responsible enough to look after not only the people who shouldn't be looking at porn, but also looking after the people that are providing this service to people who should be allowed to look at porn. We're being made the victims of other people's enjoyment, for other people's shame. We are the victim of other people's shame. And like I said before, it's like the majority of people that speak out against our industry are the people that profit the most from it.
So, what makes you stand out in this industry?
I guess I'm loud. Um, I don't want to keep my mouth shut. You know, I tend to see myself more as a more as a sex work jobber than an actual porn star, if you want me to be honest with you. I'm the kind of person that comes to the ring and takes it, and takes it to put another person over. But when it actually comes down to the scene itself, I'm very vocal about defending other sex workers from harm, especially within the industry itself, because there's a lot of abuses in the industry, which I don't really need to go into. And when this comes out, and I realize that there's a failing on behalf of the industry or on behalf of the audience that consumes our work, I tend to call them out on it. So I think one of my Nikki LaFay claims to be my biggest fan, and she's been on the scene a lot longer than I have, and because of my mouth. I'm a bit of a bitch when it comes down to the industry, and I'm determined to protect my fellow sex workers as best I can.
So, how do you want people to remember you in the industry when you're dead and gone?
Oh my God. Fondly, I think everybody wants to be remembered fondly, but I think the most important thing for me is this: I want to be recognized as somebody that was just a little more talented than the boobs that I have. I mean, I also do music as well. I'm releasing an album on Wednesday, and I want to show the world that, that there's, in the porn industry, there's another Asia Carriera. There's always somebody that's very educated in the industry. We're not just dumb bimbos that lay on our back that lay on our back to entertain you. We also have lives and talents outside of the industry. And I want to be kind of remembered for the for the porn, for the porn activists who brought this kind of to light, I want to be remembered for the sex worker who just wanted to be treated like a human being, like everybody else.
And what do you,
I know that's kind of honest, but
yeah, and where do you see yourself in like 5 to 10 years?
well, I'm 51 years old. I'm a grandmother now, so I technically do guilt porn now. Definitely in 15 years, I probably see myself as retired at this point. In about 11 years, to 10 to 11 years, I hope to see myself at least making some wavelengths into improving my career into the industry. I have no intention of retiring from the industry until I'm at least 57, 58. So I'm still going to be stuck with this for the next 6 to 7 years of my life. Maybe I'll just retire and just create music from a sunset beach in Japan or something. I haven't quite decided yet.